Hello, and thank you for joining me again today on the Finding Hope After Loss podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you like the show, please leave a review or rating on Apple or Spotify. It only takes a moment and really helps the show reach more loss and infertility families. Today, I am talking with Nicole. She had 2 pregnancy losses, including the loss of her son, Evan James. This loss inspired her to create Evan's Box. These are boxes filled with handmade items such as hats, wraps, and blankets for angel babies that are born between 12 and 22 weeks. Nicole also discusses how every baby, no matter how small, is someone's child and should be respected and treated as such. Hello, everyone. Today I am here with Nicole. Nicole, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Nicole Chrysler. I am from Georgia, born and raised, and I have 3 beautiful children. Owen, who is 4, Isla, who is 2, and Mason, who is just born in October. He's my beautiful rainbow baby, and he is 3 months old.
What
So
part of
that's pretty
Georgia
much
are you
me.
from?
I was born in Snellville, and now I live over in the Beaufort area, so not too far from where I grew up. My husband and I moved out here a couple years ago. So,
Okay. Yeah, no, I was just gonna say we're from Texas, but we lived in Marietta for 4 years and then
oh, okay,
just
yeah.
recently moved back. So didn't know you were in Georgia.
Yes. My husband and I went to Texas 2 years ago, actually, and visited, and it was really cool. I liked it out there.
What
But
area? Like, did you come to Dallas at all?
we went to Austin.
To Austin,
So,
yeah.
yeah, it was a lot of
I
fun.
know Texas is kind of a big state, so it's
Yeah, it is. But we enjoyed it. It was just a little getaway, just the 2 of us, and it was a good time.
yeah, it's always nice to have those because once you have kids, it's really hard to find that time to,
It is. It is.
yeah.
We covet those moments.
I know sometimes now I'm just like me, just like sitting on the couch reading my book. That's all I want. Just like nobody
Oh,
touch me or
yes.
talk to me for a minute. Like I
Yes.
love you guys, but I need my time.
From 8:30 until 10:30 at night. That is exactly how I feel. Get my crochet, watch a show, get my tea and a snack. Nobody talk to me, nobody touch me. I'm in my moment.
I know, and that's why I always end up staying up way too late because
Yes.
and then I'm really tired the next day, but I'm like, it's my only me time.
I completely understand. Completely understand.
So do you mind talking a little bit about your last story?
Yes, I went in for my 16-week appointment, and it was then that they could not find a heartbeat. So later that night, my husband and I went in for the induction process. And then the next day, November 8th, 2023, at 4:15 p.m., Evan James was born. We did not know that he was a boy until he was born. And he weighed 22 grams, which is less than an ounce. And he was 4 inches long. So if you hold up your hand, he fit in my hand. He was very, very tiny. But he was a whole person. He had his eyes, ears, mouth, nose, all 10 toes, 10 fingers, just the tiniest, sweetest little boy. And then after that, about a week later, I was looking at pictures of Evan and noticed that he was wearing the hat that the hospital gave him. And it was way too big. It was about the size of his body. And that gave me the idea to make a tiny little hat that would have fit him. And then I thought, I would like to do something in memory of Evan. Like, I need to do something, and I don't know what, but I was thinking probably to, something I could do for the hospital. So I started making tiny little hats, and I figured out how to make little wraps or the cocoons that the babies are laid in. And then I started asking my friends if they would like to help me with this project. So I started teaching my friends how to crochet and filled up a box and then donated it to the hospital where he was born about a month later. Then on January 12th of 2024, I just randomly posted a video on TikTok of me making a tiny little hat, and people started asking questions and started saying, I want to make things like this. I didn't realize there was a need for this. I would love to help. Could I make a box and donate it in Evan's memory as well? So I was, of course you can. These babies are sadly born all the time, and they are needed. These tiny little hats are needed because lots of hospitals get items for NICU babies and preemie babies, which is amazing. And I'm so glad that, they have those available for those babies. But I think a lot of people don't think about babies that are even smaller than that. I mean, I never had until it happened to me. So we're finding that a lot of these hospitals don't have tiny little items for these babies. So I think a month after that video, I had a website, I had decals going out to people to put on their own boxes. Now we have 23 confirmed boxes in hospitals across the US and over 50 more in the works. We also make and send handmade hats to women that never received anything for their loss in memory of their baby. And I received just 15 just in the past 2 days. So I think we'll have sent around 70 so far. And some have been outside of the US as well. There's been one to Africa, a couple to the UK, a few to Canada. So really just kind of building a community of, lost women that, same thing as you're doing as well. I've seen the oh, I don't know. I don't remember what you called it, but the skirt, the
Oh,
beautiful
yeah, the
rainbow
rainbow
skirt that you
skirt.
send around. Oh, I love that. And the pictures are beautiful. I absolutely love that. So yeah, that's kind of my story and how Evan's box came to be.
I love so much that you're doing that because so often you're right, babies that are that little, I mean, it's like, well, they're little, so you don't get anything from them, you don't get anything
Hmm.
for them. It's just kind of like they weren't there.
Yes, and that is, oh, it's so heartbreaking to me. I have found that a lot of women go through this, and a lot of women have shared their story with me, but they are so mistreated. They are not looked at like a mother. Their baby is not viewed as a baby. They're just another miscarriage statistic. Many of these women don't even get to see their baby. They go in, for a surgery, and then they leave the hospital and go home with nothing. And that's so sad to me. I was fortunate to have a doctor that led me through a birthing process. So I actually birthed my son at he was 13 weeks gestation, so he was very tiny. But still, so he guided me through that process, and I was able to hold my son and take pictures, and I have his handprint and his footprint, and just that time to see him and grieve and all of that. And like I said, many women are never given that opportunity. And I think it's so sad and just a huge flaw in our system. So I'm hoping that by putting these Evans boxes in hospitals, that it will, one, give the family, a keepsake to honor their baby's loss and have in memory of them. And then also for the healthcare workers to view these babies as babies by having a hat that you give to the family that makes it more real, that hopefully will put into their, oh gosh, I'm stumbling over my words. I'm sorry.
No, I get what you're trying to say though,
Oh
that
my goodness.
you're
Okay.
trying to show that like they don't have to be a certain gestation to be seen as a real baby.
Correct. Yeah. These babies are someone's son, someone's daughter. They're not a statistic. They're not a clump of cells. It's not just another surgery that's happening. I mean, this is a very traumatic experience. This is a huge loss to anyone. So I just really hope that by having these boxes in the hospital, that healthcare workers will view these babies and as someone's child and give them more respect and the respect that they deserve.
So, if people were wanting to find out more about the organization or get involved with it, do you have a website or you mentioned a website? Where could they go to see that and to get
Yeah, of
involved with
course.
you?
You can go to our website, which is evansbox.org. We are on Facebook, Evans Box, and our Instagram is Evans_box. And then I'm also on TikTok as Mama Drama 7399. And it's not Evans Box because I originally started TikTok as just, kind of a grieving outlet, but it has turned into Evans Box. So you can find me on there as well.
I like the name though.
I mean, to be honest, my life is a lot of drama, so it's fitting.
I feel like that's all of us now, especially after like loss and,
Yeah,
parenting and just like, yeah, there's a lot.
yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a whirlwind. It really is. But this past year has been super hard, but also great in many ways as well. So it definitely has been a lot of drama and it has been a whirlwind. And, you know, having Mason has been huge to our family too. So our beautiful little rainbow. He's so special and he's so sweet and he's so amazing. He's been a great addition to our family.
How did you know that you were ready to try again after your loss?
I know that is, very different for a lot of people. We Evan was a surprise to us. We were not planning on having a third, and so when I did find out I was pregnant with him, it was definitely a shock and we were kind of freaking out a little bit, but I quickly just, accepted that I was pregnant and then got really excited about it. So then after that loss, I just thought you know, I want that third child. I want to continue growing our family. And I think it was good for me because I think I just would have I don't know. I think it was just good for me to kind of move forward in that way. I think for healing for me is definitely moving forward. I If I dwell too much on the past and really, stay in that moment, then I just kind of decline. So I think it was good for me to move forward. Now it was hard as well. This was the hardest pregnancy I went through. Obviously, mentally, just coming off of one pregnancy and going straight into another, on top of grieving and loss and then, physically and emotionally, all of that. But I don't know. I think it's just what we needed. So it's like I said, it's been hard, but it's been good at the same time. So he's been a great addition to our family, like I said, and he's so sweet. And the kids really, my other son and daughter, really wanted a little brother, and so now they have their little brother. We do talk about Evan all the time as well, though, so they know that they have two little brothers. And we celebrated Evan's birthday in November last year, and we had a cake and balloons, and the kids wrote him birthday cards, and it was really beautiful. And then we also hang up a stocking for him every year as well. So he's very much still a part of our family and always will be, and especially through Evan's box. So
I love that you do that. We do a birthday party for Jasmine every year too, like make the cake,
yeah.
sing happy birthday. And
Mm-hmm.
my son, he's 10 now, but he is like, "Are you gonna cry again?" Like, yeah, I'm probably gonna cry, but it's okay. I said, it's okay to be sad, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, I guess I don't cry in front of them that often. Not because I'm trying
Yeah.
to avoid it, but just,
I totally understand. And that grief never goes away. I You learn to cope with it, but it's always there. And I've definitely found that this past year as well, where in the beginning I cried myself to sleep so many nights, and I just remember thinking, will I ever not cry myself to sleep? And then, one day you just don't, and then you kind of move forward, and then you have several good days, and then you just randomly cry one day. I think there was a long period of time where I didn't cry at all, and I just felt really good, and then one day I just lost it, and grief just comes in those waves, and that's okay. So, and we've talked to the kids about that, and I don't think, they are very young. I think my son understands a little bit more than my daughter, but they say his name a lot, which I love. I love to hear his name. And I don't think like I said, I don't think they fully understand what has happened, but we will always talk about him, always include Evan in our family. So as they get older, they'll understand more and more. And we will see him again one day. And they will be able to meet him one day, which will be so special. So,
Do you feel like you received good support from your family and friends during your loss?
yes, 100%. I definitely could not be functioning without my family and friends. And my my husband obviously was a huge support, and then my parents and my in-laws and my sister-in-laws, several friends rallied around me, my neighbors. It was it was really incredible to see, honestly, because I know a lot of people don't get that kind of support. But, and I still get the support. I still have my friends that will talk about him, say his name. People from my church are learning to crochet so they can, make these items for Evan's box. I went to my neighbor shortly after that video that I posted on TikTok started gaining some traction, and I said, I just am overwhelmed by the people that want to do this. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I feel like I need to be doing this, this, and this. How do I do this? And how do I do that? I looked at making a website and I have no idea what to do. And she immediately said, well, I can help you. I can, I can do that for you. So now my neighbor Anna runs my website. She runs Instagram. She does press release stuff. I handle videos and TikTok and emails and, kind of whatever else needs to be done there. And then my mom is a huge part of it as well. She crochets the keepsakes and sends those out, and she makes the decals for our boxes and sends those out as well. So now I have my own little team, and it's just been, like I said, it's just overwhelming, and it's so supportive and so great. And I really couldn't do any of this without the support system that I have had.
That's amazing. I love that those people just stepped up for you and you're just in those times where you're just like, I don't know what to do. And they're like, let me do it. I'll take care
Yes.
of it.
Well, because I felt like, this is something that I really want to do, and I think this will really help a lot of people. And I'm not the only one. 1 in 4 women in the United States alone has at least one miscarriage. But I just didn't know how to move forward. And then as soon as those people stepped in, it just took off. And again, it would not be where it is today without that support system. So I am incredibly thankful for the people that I have in my life.
Did you find, I mean, obviously, I know starting this and doing the crocheting and all of that has been really helpful in your grief. Were there other things or other resources that you found helpful?
I'm going to be honest, I kind of hold up in that area. A lot of people told me to, or encouraged me. A lot of people encouraged me to do therapy sessions, to talk to counselors, to join certain groups, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it at the time. So honestly, crochet was my biggest healer. It was my biggest thing in my grief process. Crocheting by myself also hosting crochet nights at my house and teaching people how to crochet. As crazy as it sounds, TikTok was kind of healing for me, just kind of expressing my emotions by myself, but then, people could see it. So I didn't necessarily have to talk to people one on one. I'm a huge talker, but I wasn't in the mood to talk to other people at the time. But by making videos and then posting it, that just kind of was an outlet for me. So I know a lot of people, cling to therapy and to counseling and to all of that, but that strangely wasn't it for me.
Well, and I think
So,
what works for some people doesn't work for other people, It's just we all have
yes,
our own way to process and there isn't a right way and a wrong way. It's just
true.
whatever works for us.
Very true.
And yeah, I didn't find the lost community until maybe a year or so after I lost Jasmine,
Mhm.
but I really wish I had found it sooner because I didn't realize just how many people there are that have gone through it
Mhm.
too. You kind of feel all alone, like you're the only one that's had it happen, and then you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm not alone. Look at all these people.
I Yes, that's something that's been crazy to me, how common it how common it is, yet how isolating it is at the same time, because even the people that I know who have gone through it, I don't know, it still just feels like there's those moments. I don't know, it's very interesting, but I did find a community shortly after it happened, but I just recently got more involved with it, but it's called Hugs for Harrison, and it's local to my area. So we have had some interaction with that. They had a an outing recently for lost moms and dads. So all the dads got together and went fly fishing, and all the women got together and went shopping and had a nice lunch together. So it was a very cool day because I feel like there's a lot of resources for women and community for women, but we kind of don't think about men. They also went through that loss. They also experienced that too. So it was very nice for my husband to meet other lost dads, and they had a great day together. So I thought that was a very neat day.
I love that. Yeah, and then to have, something for both of you, because you're right.
Hmm.
You both lost a baby, but everyone checks. I guess not every mom has the support, but when they do have
Right,
support, it's
right.
the mom that gets checked on, and the dad is just
Hmm.
like, well, you're fine. You're
Right.
handling it, you're coping.
Or they'll be like, I'm sorry for your loss, and then they just kind of go about their business. And like you said, it's very heavily focused on the women, which I understand, but you know, the husbands go through it too, and the siblings go through it as well. My kids were, too young to understand, but for kids that are older, that hurts them as well. So it's a whole family
Yeah.
experience.
Well, and I think even with young kids, like my son, he was 3 at the time that
Hmm.
we lost Jasmine. He's 10 now, and he at the time, like he kind of got it, but kind of
Hmm.
didn't because he was
Right.
young. He's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go play with my toys now. It's just like, well,
Exactly.
okay. But as he's gotten older, like I can tell how it's affected him. And
Mm.
my rainbow daughter wasn't born yet. She's 5 now, and she's starting to feel the sadness that her sister's not here. And so
Oh.
I think, just to your point, that yeah, it does affect the kids, even if they're young, even if they weren't born yet. Like it's the whole family, like you
Mm.
said.
Yeah.
So did you ever get a reason for why you had your loss?
No, we they offered to do certain testing, but that would have required them to take Evan out of the room and all of that. So I declined all of that because I didn't want him to leave, and I just didn't feel like it was necessary. I, you know, it happened and there's no going back from that. So the test that I did get done, I think through some blood work, everything came back normal. So it was just it was just a loss. And I actually, Evan is actually my second miscarriage. I did miscarry in between my son and my daughter, but that was, I think I miscarried at 5 weeks. There was never even really a baby there, I don't think. There was no heartbeat. It was kind of just the sac, and that just all happened naturally. And then miscarrying Evan was a completely different experience. After having heard the heartbeat a few times and seeing the ultrasound, and then going into the hospital and actually birthing him and then leaving the hospital, because I already had two children, so I've gone into the hospital before and come home with a baby, and I've sat in that wheelchair before with a baby in my arms, and then coming out of that hospital in a wheelchair again with just a a box of stuff and books and resources and no baby was a lot different. But yeah, we don't know why it happened. It just did, and that's just something I didn't really choose to dive into because you can't change what happened.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and I know
um,
sometimes, well, all the time, knowing the reason doesn't make it any better. But sometimes,
yeah.
you know, it brings people some kind of closure, I guess. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
the
Oh
right
yeah.
word, but so
I
I was just
I can
curious.
understand that. Yeah. No, for me, no. But again, we chose not to do all the tests that could have been done because we just wanted to spend time with him, and I didn't want him to leave. So,
I probably would have made the same decision too. I mean, we knew about Jasmine's issues before we lost her, so like we knew
okay.
there was a problem. But if it was like all the time I had with her, I'd do the same thing. Like, no, you can't take her. Like this is the only time I've
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, there was no indication that anything was wrong at my 12-week appointment. He was healthy, his heartbeat was strong. And then without me knowing, he passed shortly after that. And then at my 16-week appointment, there was no heartbeat. And after measuring him, they said that it was probably around 13 weeks gestation that he had passed. So again, no reason that we know of. His heart just stopped beating. So yeah.
Did that make you more anxious not knowing like for your rainbow pregnancy, or were you just anxious because of everything that's involved with pregnancy after a loss?
I mean, yeah, pregnancy in itself is an anxiety attack. But then adding on top of that, just fear the whole time. The whole, that's why Mason's pregnancy was so hard, because it was just a constant state of fear and anxiety, even with reassurance that everything is going smoothly. I'm having all the right symptoms. I'm going in for my checkups, and everything is progressing wonderfully. My belly's growing and all of that. There's still just, man, I could go in today and something be wrong. I could wake up today and I could be bleeding. I could do I could eat the wrong thing. I could do the wrong thing. I could fall. Just constant anxiety. And it was definitely very heightened this pregnancy, but I would try to just pray a lot and take it day by day. And now here we are.
Yeah,
And everything worked out. But
it's definitely not a normal pregnancy experience. And I
no.
think people who haven't been through it like just do not understand that.
Well, because with my very first pregnancy, there's anxiety with that, but it was nothing compared to my last pregnancy. So you're always going to have that little bit of anxiety or fear in the background with your pregnancies. But like you said, after experiencing loss, it's a whole different situation. It's a lot more. It really takes a toll. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to describe, but I
it,
mean,
it
you're
is.
right. Like it's definitely I was checking for like blood every day. I mean, up until I went
Oh
into
yes.
labor, I was like, there's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
blood, there's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
blood, or I was scared to exercise. I was scared to do anything. I'm like, I'm not taking a risk on that deli sandwich. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Like you said, literally until I had him in my arms, there was the fear. Even going in, I was induced with him, and even going in, I just thought, what if I go in and all of a sudden they're just like, oh no, he's passed. I just constant fear. Like you said, even until he was in my arms. I think the moment he was put in my arms, I don't even know how to explain it. The world just became so much more peaceful. I I being pregnant with him, I was not myself. I was very much lost. And then as soon as I had him, I immediately just this weight was lifted and I felt more like myself. And I'm the happiest I have been in a long time. It was, and I'm sure hormones had a lot to play in that. But yeah, I mean it's been crazy.
I know that exact feeling though, because I felt the same way, like up until like they laid her on my chest and I'm like, you're here. Like, oh my God, you
Hmm.
made it. Like you're here. And they were like trying to ask me all these questions. I'm just like crying. I'm like, I don't know
Oh
what you're
yes.
asking me. Like, please stop
Hmm.
talking to me right now.
Yes, that's exactly how I felt. I'm pretty sure I cried, uncontrollably and was just like hysterical. And I told the nurse that she had probably seen five different versions of me because I was very anxious, I was very sad, I was very happy, and then I was very zoned out and just several different
Like,
versions
you
of
get all
me.
my personalities today.
Yeah. She's probably thinking, who even are you?
So, do you have
But
any particular advice for people that are going through a loss?
oh, that's a loaded question.
I know there's so much that can be said.
Man, I don't even know how to answer that because like I said, there's so much. I guess I would say you're not alone. There there are a lot of people that can rally around you and it can feel so isolating like we talked about. And if you don't have that support system right next to you, like your family and your friends, and they're not supportive, there are people out there that want to help you, that are there for you. Us, for example, we want to help you. We want to be there for you. So, when you're ready, look for that support and we can help you. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
I know that's kind of a hard question because it's just, I guess the point in asking is because so many people who go through a loss, I mean, you probably felt the same way. I felt the same way that you just feel kind of lost afterwards. Like
Hmm.
you don't know what to do. Like you're like,
Hmm.
what do I do next? Like where do I go from here? How do I keep going? I don't know if that's something you
Oh
experience.
yeah. Oh yeah. I think another thing to just kind of look to is that there is hope for you. For a while, you're going to grieve, and however long that takes you, and you need to take that time. You need to grieve, how whatever that looks like for you. But there is hope that you will get through it. You will you will, continue with your life, and you will move forward. And like we talked about, that grief will always be there, and you will always, that sadness will be there, but there's hope that, you can. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, I I guess just kind of like I said before, where I just felt like, will I ever not cry? Will I ever be able to be happy? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Will you ever be happy again? Will you ever, you know, be able to hang out with your friends, go to family functions, just do the things that you used to do that you loved? And the answer is yes, you will get there, but it will take time. So just knowing that there is hope in that future. And also moving on and moving forward with your life doesn't mean that you are leaving that loss behind and that you are forgetting them. That's not, that's not what you're trying to do. I think a big thing for me was I thought if I stop crying, if I move forward, then that means that I don't care anymore, or that that he doesn't matter as much or something like that, which is totally untrue. But that's not what that means at all. He will always be a part of our lives and be a part of our family. And just because I don't cry every day doesn't mean that he is very much, my son. So,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Sometimes I think it's just that mom guilt that kind of eats
mhm.
away at us. I mean, we have mom guilt with our living children and
Yes.
our babies
Mhm.
in heaven too. I mean, we're still trying to parent them in whatever way that we can. And yeah, no, I've had my fair share of the guilt about it. Like, oh, I didn't talk about her today, or
Mhm.
I didn't look at her picture today, or I didn't whatever. And I'm like, okay, but she knows you love her. That doesn't mean you don't love
Right.
her. And that's
Right.
exactly what you're saying. So yeah, I definitely relate.
Yeah.
Oh man, being a lost parent is hard, isn't it?
It is. And my heart really goes out to the families that have gone through it. I wish it didn't happen. I wish that we could hold all of our babies all at once, but we will see them again one day, and I cling to that, and I look forward to that.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share or add?
I don't think so. Thank you for, listening to my story and learning more about Evan's box, and thank you for what you're doing and for all the support that you're showing moms around the world. Again, I love your rainbow skirt project. That is beautiful, and the fact that it just travels around the country. I absolutely love that, and I want to get in on that too. I looked into
Definitely.
it, and I'm hoping to maybe request the skirt one day. So,
Yes, I would love to
but
have you be part of it.
thank you. So, yes, thank you for everything that you're doing. You're making a difference, and I love it. I love seeing moms turning their pain into something good and, supporting one another.
Well, and thank you so much for coming on and for everything that you're doing and letting people who have the early losses know that most importantly that their babies matter too.
Hmm. They do.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for sharing your story with us. I just love your mission so much. One thing you said that really stuck with me is how many women go through miscarriage and early loss never to meet their baby. You may have to go in for a D&C and you just never get to see or even meet them. Yet just because we never got to see them doesn't mean that they aren't our babies, even if they're tiny. And one of the most important things that healthcare providers, family, and friends can do is acknowledge our baby. No, it wasn't just a miscarriage. We lost our baby. Please know that even if early loss is common, it doesn't mean it's easy or any less painful. We all need to feel free to grieve our baby and the loss of what could have been. We all need to know that our baby mattered and will not be forgotten. And I really don't think that's too much to ask. Do you? Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you like the show, please leave a review or rating on Apple or Spotify. It only takes a moment and really helps the show reach more loss and infertility families. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, we are all in this together.